On today's caucus, Megan Lieberman and Carolyn Ryan on the Democratic upset of a traditionally Republican congressional seat in New York's 26th district.
So, Carolyn, we had a pretty big upset in an election in New York yesterday.
Absolutely.
Yeah, a special election in New York's 26th district where Kathy Hochul, the Democrat, beat Jane Corwin, the Republican, in what is a very Republican conservative district, right?
Right. This is an anomaly for New York. It's heavily Republican. It went for McCain. Only 4 districts did in New York. It also went for Carl Palladino in the governor's race.
Nothing went for Carl Palladino in the governor's race.
Precisely.
Right. There's never an election that's just about one issue, but if there was one issue in this race, it was Medicare.
Jane Corwin said she would vote for the 2012 Republican budget that would essentially end Medicare.
You have a district that is, the demographic is older. You have an issue that exploded right in the middle of this race. And you had a real anxiety about the economy, and people really caught on to this. I mean, if you look at the comments of voters leaving the polls, this is what they talked about.
Right. And Kathy Hochul really seized on Corwin's support of Paul Ryan's Medicare plan and just ran with that really for the last 2 months of this election.
She was relentless. She was.
And because of that, a lot of national Democrats and Republicans came into this district, right? And money flooded into this district.
The Buffalo television stations were quite happy. I mean, they'd never seen a race like this. More than $6 million spent. You had the labor unions, you had the Chamber of Commerce, a group tied to Karl Rove, both national parties. It became really something of a marquee race, partly because nothing else is going on, but partly because the issues were so right.
Right. And this was a special election we should mention to replace Chris Lee, who had to leave Congress, resign from Congress after shirtless photos appeared of him on Craigslist.
Right. He set a record for the fastest Republican resignation in recent history.
And in spite of that, this is now being talked about as this national bellwether, potentially. Democrats are definitely talking about this as a bellwether election.
Right. I mean, there's certainly caution that should attach to that, but look at the Republican discussions that are going on privately and even publicly. They are really worried about whether they have trapped themselves and boxed themselves with this issue. So they are viewing it as something that has some significance and has some impact potentially for how they shape their agenda for next year.
Right, and we already saw Paul Ryan this morning going on the morning shows, sort of tweaking his message on Medicare.
Medicare is probably the most important program in the federal government, probably next to Social Security. Those two are the most important. They're collapsing. They're going bankrupt in 9 years.
That is a dramatic change in tone, and
right.
I think that's something that voters don't quite understand in terms of they believe that the Republicans want to dismantle it, and you saw that in the comments yesterday.
Right, but they do have a significant amount of time to change that message.
Time is their friend in this, and we'll see what happens, in the next few months and certainly next year.
18 months is an eternity in politics.
Absolutely.